Hello there YouTubers, and welcome to another episode of Wet Liberal Weekly. It's been a bit of a week really for Wet Liberals. There's two little stories I've got to tell about the life of Wet Liberals. It's kind of, I don't want to be critical. It's just, you can't throw stones if you live in a glass house. And I've been chucking rocks about. There's a woman called Julie Myerson who writes a column in the Wet Liberal Bible, The Guardian. And she's now written a book, and she uses her family. Now, I've already used the term uses her family, but that's kind of what she does. And she's now written a book about her son, who is a teenager who has had a lot of problems due to smoking, I was going to say smeg, but that isn't quite the thing. I think smoking smeg, you'd have a lot of trouble. Oh, yes. No, skunk. Smoking skunk. And it's really affected his psychology. He's caused a lot of trouble in his family. I mean, the only reason I know this is because it's been all over the press in the UK. And this woman's written this book and she's published it. Now, the difficulty is, I don't know Julie Myerson, but I know a lot of people who know her very well. And they're, you know, sort of family friends for many years. And it's difficult thing to talk about. But I can't help a slight feeling of discomfort at the idea of writing a story about your own children. Very clearly, obviously them, and it's not disguised in any fictional way at all. And the reason it's kind of hit home with both myself and my wife is because we both write books, and we write, and I have written books that are very definitely about my own life and my family and the issues of being a parent and the difficulties of all those things, but I've never published them. And I now realise after this experience with seeing what Ms. Myerson has been through, I definitely never will. Because in a sense, the life you're writing about is someone else's. You know, when you're writing about your own children and you use that as well, even if it's entertaining and funny, it is their life. So yes, that was that one thing. Very difficult. Not sure what I think about it. Can't help thinking slightly it was a bad idea to publish the book. You know, write it, it's fine. Keep it to yourself. Don't show anyone. Because now that poor kid has got a real weight to carry for the rest of his life. You know, he is the skunk kid. You know, even when he's like 35 and not smoking skunk. Well, the other Wet Liberal story of the week is Naughty Bobby Lou on Twitter. Okay, now it's just so complicated. You cannot express a fairly complicated notion in 140 characters or less. And on Friday night, during the broadcast of Red Nose Day Comic Relief on the BBC in the UK, I expressed an opinion about, I suppose, about some sort of celebrity person. I don't know who they were, and they raised an enormous amount of money. This year, I think it's, if not approaching, then at least £60 million in a day. It's very impressive. They do an enormous amount of good work, both in Africa and in the UK as well. There's a lot of charities they support here. So it's really good. If you'd read some of the critical opinions that were expressed on Comic Relief, you would think that I would think that, you would assume that I thought Comic Relief was awful and that it should be banned and that we should never give any money to charity. It was amazing how quickly what a fairly simple and I think fairly clear critique of one specific person who appeared on the show, not the whole show, made me feel uncomfortable. I didn't even say it was wrong, but basically one celebrity woman, I don't know who she was, said, when I saw a baby die, it was really hard for me. That was basically the gist of her comment. And, you know, I totally understand. I would find it incredibly hard and incredibly upsetting to be in the situation she was in. But I would hope that I would be able to move on and make it about the child and the family involved and not myself. And that's that was really what I was commenting about. And you can't comment about that in 140 characters. I was stupid to make any comment. I should have had that thought and kept it to myself. And from now on, I'm going to do that. Because Twitter's just not the right forum to do it. But it became a sort of hysterical Twitter tsunami. I mean, I had 2,000 responses in half an hour. And to be honest, the vast majority of people said, I know exactly what you're saying and I agree with you. Someone even said, I'm glad you had the balls to say it. Never been accused of having the balls to do much, really, being a Wet Liberal. I'm always too wet. But, you know, I just made this comment, and clearly it was a commonly felt thing that everyone supported the charity, but they didn't necessarily want to gloat over the rather self-serving celebrities, of whom some of them were on the show. Not all of them, and some of them were amazing. in particular, I think, you know, one person I've never had a lot of time for, Chris Moyles, who is a Radio 1 disc jockey. You know, I mean, my children force me to listen to him in the morning sometimes when I'm in the car, but I'm not that into him. But I have to say, hats off to the dude. He is anything but a fit bloke, and he did climb Kilimanjaro, and he did raise a lot of money for Red Nose Day, which I think is amazing, and you know, I respect that. And you know, when there's people, you know, I don't disagree with bloody comic relief. That's the thing, and it's a very difficult one to kind of. I don't want to have to prove anything. You know, the fact that I appeared in comic relief years ago, and the fact that I've always given them money. You know, I don't want to have to say that, but I'm bloody well saying it, because I was, you know, some of the comments I got were fairly offensive, and I know you've got to rise above it. I know you mustn't take any offence, and people don't know what they're talking about, and all that stuff. But basically, you know, it was amazing how misconstrued it became and how rapidly that misconstruction appeared. And I normally love a bit of controversy, but this time it kind of got to me. I admit it got to me, and I got very upset because, you know, I was accused of things I really hadn't done, as often happens on those sort of things, and accused of saying things I hadn't said. And, you know, you kind of want to defend yourself, and then in defending yourself you sound worse, and so you've just got to shut up and let it go, or not say it in the first place. So I'm learning how to use Twitter. I think we all are, really. It's an enormous new communication tool that no one really knows how to use yet, and it can also be a dangerous one. So that's enough of that. Now, here's a little bit of carpool and Red Dwarf news. Anyway, another thing. Okay, so following on from my last Wet Liberal, the maximum wage idea is clearly completely bankrupt as an idea. Quite a lot of people contacted me, some people with really clever ideas about percentages, and the one I really loved was, say if you're the boss of a company that employs 100 people, they have to get 10%, is that right, of your income. So if he's on 650,000 a year, then the lowest paid person has to have 10% of that, £65,000 a year. Perfectly fair. That's reasonable, isn't it? Red Dwarf, lots of Red Dwarf news. Well, I don't know how much news there is. I mean, there is a new Red Dwarf, and it's on April the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th on Channel Dave at 9 o'clock in the UK, and then released all around the world. So, and this is a little sort of sort of messy carpool that we did in an absolute panic when we were driving from a location back to Shepperton Studios. Chris Barry, Robert Llewellyn in the background there, Danny John Jules, and this is Burnt, who is an RAF is he RAF or Army helicopter pilot? He's a helicopter pilot. Such a cool dude. He was one of the guys that were helping us on the series. And so he had to drive my car because I couldn't drive because I had that rubber head on. And Dan is recording it on his camera, and I'm recording it on another camera, and it's quite funny. And I'm going to put it out. At one point I will put it up, but I'm going to wait really till I get permission from the lovely people at Grant Naylor Productions, who are all lovely. And then there's also this. There is a little bit of old Crichty Pants there, which is going to be a YouTube special from Uncle Crichton. When he talks to all his little YouTube friends, he's trying to remember what his name is there. Isn't that tragic? Poor old sausage. Oh, there he is. Oh, goodness me, twitching away. So that's all up it's going to be coming up on YouTube. Some really exciting carpools though. Dom Jolly, I did him the other day, such a funny guy, I'd never met him before, and it was a breakthrough for me to do a carpool with someone I don't know. Next week I'm doing another one with someone I don't know, which is David Mitchell, Mitchell and Webb Peep Show. He's going to climb in my Tesla, and then I'm doing the wonderful poet, who I do know very well, I've known for years, John Hegley. I'm driving him to a gig where he's doing a gig in a school, and he doesn't know where it is. He hasn't got a clue, so I've got to find it for him, so that's quite an adventure. And then I'm recording a carpool with Charlie Is So Cool Like, a YouTube superstar, which is so fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that because I love his videos, they are brilliant. So do keep checking out Carpool, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can. I know a lot of you do already, but there's a few more, I'm sure. Twitter.com/BobbyLou, B-O-B-B-Y-L-L-A-W. Anyway, YouTubers, if you have been, thank you for watching.